Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. So with that in mind, let's jump right in to this week's episode of Becoming Something.
What's up, podcast world? It's your boy JP in the podcast studio with Nate.
What's up, dog?
Oh my gosh.
Arr, arr, arr.
Dude,
Kathy
could you be more awkward?
can't contain herself.
And Kathy.
Hi, how's
Yeah.
it going?
Yeah. How are you? How is it going?
Doing so great.
How is it going, Kathy?
Great. Who's watching the Olympics?
I'm not, because they make fun of Christians.
Oh,
Out.
Out.
okay. I'm so
boycott.
watching
Yeah,
them.
exactly.
I'm boycotting all
Frickin'.
sports. Here's the deal. Because of what the Olympics did,
Yeah.
okay, I will never ever be a professional athlete. I'm saying, you know what? I'm going to stop. I'm
No.
changing
You were
careers.
gonna be in the Olympics in 4 years.
Yeah, but I'm changing
now-
careers, and I will not be in the Olympics ever now.
I'm trying to think of what sport you
I
do.
refuse.
Listen, you should be a swimmer.
Oh, yeah, he could be a
Listen,
swimmer.
Matt and I have been so into the Olympics that yesterday we went to the Y and we bought goggles and we swam laps. We're training to be Olympians, baby. And guess what? I freaking schooled him. I did so good.
What just happened? Matt and I are so
bought
into the
goggles?
Olympics
And you,
that
like,
yesterday
pretended that you were-
we bought
No, we didn't
goggles and we
pretend.
went
just
and
got
swam
inspired.
laps.
We got inspired to go be athletic. That's why I think the Olympics are great. It's just like,
you
And
guys,
you
let's
swam
go.
faster than Matt?
okay, it's
I have a
easier for me
really
to
hard
breathe.
time believing that.
I caught up to him, and so he let me go first. But I took swimming in college. It's all about
Wait,
your
so
like
you-
stroke and technique and how
well,
you can
I'm still
get breath.
You're telling me the answer to my question, and I'm still very confused. That went
right.
from, here's what just happened.
Yeah.
It went from I schooled him to I caught up to him to he let me go first. And I still don't know what's true.
That's
I'm
a
saying
Kathy
if
specialty.
you were,
That is the most
It is a
Kathy
Kathy
statement
special-
ever.
I crushed him.
schooled him. Well, I caught up to him.
And
Well,
then
he
he
let me go
stopped.
Just
first.
if you were to ask him who is the better swimmer, he would say me, 100%.
But only because you will beat him if he doesn't.
No, I would never.
Like, if you guys were actually...
Like
Swimming.
he is like literally a foot taller than me. He
Totally.
may
There's no
he may
way.
reach there faster.
is he not
Which
more
but
would
if
than
it was
mean
like
he's-
longevity, like I'm a better swimmer, I can last longer.
Wait, is
That's
he
what
not
I'm
more
saying.
than a foot taller than you?
He's okay, and some change. Do we have to be specific?
Like how he's more?
Wow.
He's
he
like
is a
foot and a half?
plus 3.
what?
I'm 5'1", he's 6'4", a foot and 3 inches.
Wow, 5'1".
Wow,
Short.
5'1".
Anyways,
Can you... never
What?
mind.
Why do
Not-
why do
What?
girls not? Why do girls want a taller guy?
That's a great question.
listen? The tall girls were mad at me when I got together with Matt. Like
Yeah.
literally, they were like mad because
Oh,
I
man,
took one of
they
their
like email
options.
me all the time. They're like, man,
I
that,
didn't even
like,
think about
full
his
of-"
height. I was like,
Tallgirls
oh,
at gmail.com.
Dude, Monica-
Emailing us.
Monica wouldn't date me
really?
initially. Yeah, she was like, you're too tall.
Yeah.
So-
Matt said he wanted
So
someone
why
short, but I
won't
don't.
girls date a shorter guy?
I don't know if it's they won't. Like, why would a tall girl not date someone who's shorter than
Well,
her?
I
Have
mean,
you
just-
never heard like a girl saying, "I want a guy that's taller than me"?
Yeah. Oh, I for sure thought that.
Why is what we're asking.
Oh,
Why are you
here-
being difficult
here-
right now? Kathy, just answer the question. She's like, well, I don't know if
Can I-
that's true. Yeah, of course, I hear it all the
I
time.
think you want like a man, like to feel, like he could take care of you, he could protect you, and you want to wear
What
his
was this? You're
sweatshirt.
hitting
He can be a-
whack-a-mole? Yeah.
You want to be able to put on a sweatshirt and not like feel like it's tight on you. I'm just saying.
Okay, then he'll buy a bigger sweatshirt for you or something.
I'm not saying it's right.
Wait,
I'm just
the reason
saying.
this is blowing my mind right now. The reason that girls want a guy that's taller than them is so
they
that
wanna be
when
able
they
to wear,
put
like, his
when they
shirt
put
or
on
his
his
sweatshirt,
sweatshirt,
they want it to
it's
feel
not
big.
tight. Like that's what I just. That's
Girls
the reason.
listening know that I am telling the truth right now, and I'm probably
This
going to
is
get
blowing
some
my
flack.
mind.
That was at least my opinion, and that was also
That just-
short,
that
so I
makes
wasn't
me
worried
feel
about
for
it.
guys who aren't.
I'm not
quote-unquote
saying
tall.
it's right. I think girls are passing on amazing, godly guys who are shorter than them, and
Well,
that
then
is
why didn't
a
you
whiff.
marry someone shorter than you?
I fell in
Yeah.
love with Matt. It wasn't intentional, and they're
How many guys
is shorter than
How
me?
many guys shorter than you did you date before Matt?
none. There were none. I'm
Man.
pretty short.
How tall is
Allie.
Connor?
Oh my gosh.
He's like
That's my guy, man.
He is my guy.
one of my sons might be pretty short.
Huh?
Judah's like pretty short, so I know he still has to grow, but
That's
he's,
cool,
like,
but I'm talking
very
about Connor right now, Kathy.
I don't know,
just
like
saying.
5'6"?
He's like
Is that-
5'7",
is that-
I
Is that
think.
wrong?
He's awesome. If anyone wants to date him, holler.
Totally, he's amazing. Yeah.
Loves God. Lots
Man,
of fun.
dude, that's what we should do. We should start doing on BSO is like every episode we match
Highlight
somebody up
someone. Yes.
and we just like tell them, hey,
This is
this person should go on a date with this person.
This is also how we get rich.
No, we
Me.
do it for free.
No,
You don't
no,
need to
we charge 1,000. Think about that. If I was single, oh my gosh, I'd pay 1,000 easy for a wife. You kidding me? I pay you they each pay $1,000. We put them together. They get married. They're happy. We're getting steak.
Yeah.
It's a win-win for everybody.
It's complex. So I'm developing an
And
app.
it's just under the
very
table
complex.
and no one knows.
You are really.
Yeah, for sure.
wanna
But
help
it's
with
hard.
that.
It's very difficult.
So what are we talking about today?
Another email.
Yeah.
People email in
There
all
we
the
go.
time.
There we go.
Somehow they specifically emailed you, which is interesting.
Yeah,
That's
which is
pretty-
super fun. Thanks for sharing my email.
Yeah.
It's becoming something at harriscreek.org.
Yeah. And don't email too often because then it keeps me from doing other work.
Neat.
But they emailed about modesty, just modesty in general. So like one thing they said was the thought of, hey, it's not my fault, it's their fault that they can't control their eyes. And then secondly, I actually think it was a female emailing to say, hey, can we talk to guys as well? I feel like it's typically always about
Totally.
female modesty, but girls like can still struggle falling into sexual temptation when guys are not modest as well. So
It's good.
Do you feel like y'all are modest?
You feel like you're modest?
Well, someone did call me the queen of modesty before.
Was it me?
You literally said my superpower is modesty.
I
Of all the things I could be good at.
feel like that's true.
As a little girl, I was like, man, I hope I'm the queen of modesty. I hope that's what I'm known for. I hope
Did
on
you
my
really?
gravestone it's the best, most modest person ever. That's what I want to be known for.
I like really respect that.
Well,
I've
that's-
always really respected that about you.
Thank you.
I'm serious. I mean that in a really like heartfelt,
I know.
fatherly
I'll
way.
Okay.
So what do guys wear that's not modest? Like what does that look like for guys?
Well, there's a trend with the shorty shorts.
The Daisy Dukes, man.
And
So do
And like there is like a double standard where like dudes go play volleyball
yeah,
and
they took off their shirts.
dude, speaking of volleyball and modesty
Oof.
and Olympics,
Yeah.
it is like the contrast is really odd. Like you
Yes.
see like Middle Eastern
Yes, and they
compete
can
in
play
burqas.
covered up, but yet
and even like going and speaking at like youth camps and stuff, the females all have to wear like be very covered up
Oh,
on the
totally.
beach,
And,
and
like,
the guys can basically wear anything.
The whole like, and I know that I have such a dude perspective on this, and so I was gonna say there is a double standard where like guys go play volleyball and it's like 6-packs out, let's go.
Which is that's one of the reasons why I don't have one.
Yeah, I know, but
Have a six-pack.
but girls, but the bathing suit game is also changing really fast. I mean, like I was just at a family resort, and it was like, whoa, how small can we make a bathing suit? Like, what's going through a female's mind? Like, what is she? No, I'm asking. I really want to understand. Like, when she goes and buys like the thong string bikini, tiniest bathing suit she can wear, is it like, man, this is what it just feels good. This is like I feel free with like dental floss between my butt cheeks. I mean, what's happening here?
Don't think that it feels good because if you're to wear something that small, you're
Just to clarify, when we say feels good, we're talking about like emotional confidence.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking physically though, like if your top is so small that you're constantly like checking as you go down the water slide, like I don't know what to do. Guys.
I got you.
Sit on my hand. That's what I'm saying. Like,
sit on your hand right now. What in the world?
Golly.
Like, if you're constantly having to make sure that you're not showing something or fixing or rearranging or picking a wedgie because your underwear is literally giving
that's
you
the
a
thing. Well, that's the whole thing with the
swimsuit's
volleyball
giving you a
deal.
wedgie.
I'm
Yeah.
like, what? I'm like, my son's here. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like uncomfortable with this.
Yeah,
like we're watching a
sport.
a worldwide
Yes.
sporting event, one of the most viewed things ever, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I don't know if he should be watching this right now.
Yeah.
No, I think it's like, hey, you go, girl. Like if you got it, flaunt it. Like, hey, like you look amazing. That's great.
I do think that is part of it. Like people like how they look in it, want to wear it. I think it's a lot of pressure, though. I think a lot of women feel pressure to fit in with what culture and society is saying is cute right now.
Oh, man. Dad of girls, I see that for sure.
I think that's it. And I think that's why you especially see, like, girls who are more insecure being the ones that are more likely to wear something that's revealing like
Dude,
that.
that is real. Yeah. Say that again. That's so true. I have had that thought, but you've got some...
I just know when I was struggling in high school. So I was more insecure. I did not like two pieces like that. I didn't think it was God honoring. But at the same time, everyone else was wearing it.
It's like if you show up wearing a one piece, it's like, oh, you're
happened to me in college. I went to spring break with Christians, and I wore like a really cute, it was like retro kind of had like, but it was a one piece. I go to the beach, I'm with friends, everyone's in a two piece, and one of the guys like makes fun of the fact that I'm modest.
Dude, what is his name?
Well,
we're gonna put him on blast right now.
No, now and never. So I'm just saying, like, you feel like it was a cute swimsuit. I looked cute, and I go and I'm comfortable. I'm not having to worry about anything falling out as we're playing sand volleyball. I'm just saying. I'm trying to be real right now.
That's fair.
Okay.
You're trying to be real. He's trying to be a fifth grader. What do we do?
I'm trying to be vulnerable. Honestly, this is something that is a vulnerable topic. And so I think I see the girls out there that want to be modest and want to not wear what everyone else is wearing.
Do girls, and has a girl ever commented? A female ever commented?
Not in a negative way.
I call all dudes boys and all women girls, and I feel like some people are disrespected by that, and so I don't ever mean that to be in a disrespectful way.
No, and I don't think a girl has, because I think girls all recognize that swimsuits are kind of an awkward thing, and like everyone's just trying to, I don't know, wear something that they feel good in, and so no, a girl has never said anything negative.
Do you think it's a lot more difficult to be stylish and modest?
Yes, because culture is like celebrating crop tops and barely their swimsuits or X, Y, and Z. And so it's harder to find those, and it's not impossible.
Like, and so do you, like when you walk in, you're kind of speaking for women everywhere.
Oh, gosh.
Like when you walk into like we were just in a store recently, and they just had a few bathing suits. You know, it wasn't a bathing suit. It wasn't a swimsuit store, but they had a few women's swimsuits. But they were all tiny, like all thongs.
Oh.
Triangle, string bikinis, and so like, is that like, oh man, like they don't have anything for me here?
Yes,
kind of deal.
That is true.
And then do you feel any kind of like, do you feel marginalized in that?
Maybe when I was younger, I would have like been offended or upset by it. I think now I just know I'm not going to get my swimsuit at blank store. You spend more money, and I mean, I will like buy 6 swimsuits, try them all on, see which best, return the ones. I'm like having to scour the internet, but then you find there's definitely some good brands out there that are like supportive and have coverage and are cute, and then you stick with them. And then girls will come up to me though, and they'll be like, "Where did you get that? I've been looking for a modest swimsuit," and then I tell them. Yeah. So. It's not impossible. It is harder though.
It's also not just the beach. It's like I'm thinking Baylor football games, like. I don't know, just like life.
You follow Jesus for a long time. I really do respect you a ton, Kathy, on this topic. And all jokes aside, but even I'll say, like with Monica, like when we dated, neither of us were believers, and like I loved the way she dressed, which was not modest. And and then when we became Christians, and when she started to get in the Word and yield to the Holy Spirit, like she became very modest. And there was like a part of me that's like, wait, I was like in tension. I was like, oh, but I kind of miss you dressing like that. And I just in my own spiritual journey and my own growth, like I'm feeling these convictions. I'm changing, like my preferences are changing and whatnot. And yet just wrestling through all of that, I think, is really clunky.
Yeah.
But the reality is, I think as a culture, we focus so much on our rights. Like, what can I do? And I have the right to, and nobody can tell me. And in reality, the scripture's calling us to set our rights aside, our freedoms aside, to serve our brothers and sisters at all times. And so often what we should do, what is the most holy thing to do, what we should do in our pursuit of holiness is to do something that's inconvenient. Maybe it's cooler, like literally temperature-wise, to take my shirt off and play volleyball, but maybe I need to leave it on as I care for my sisters who are there. Or maybe it's, the fad is the super short shorts that are really tight, but I need to give consideration. I don't think dudes think about this. Like, I don't think dudes are ever thinking, oh, if some girl's going to lust after me in these short shorts. Like,
yeah, I agree. And I've also seen, like, it is more of a trend
nowadays.
And I'm like, it is like very uncomfortable. It's like uncomfortable for me. I'm like, those bad boys are hanging out.
Yeah.
And I can't help but look at them.
I have seen
it's like
someone's
you're talking about
literal
thighs, to be clear, right? Because I'm like, wow, that's going to be quite the clip.
But
those bad boys are hanging out.
It's
but
like,
you're talking about like dudes' thighs.
Like you can't help but look at them because they're just like, it's like, what? I don't know why you're wearing, and they don't have to be like below your knee, but it's like, hey, I don't know. Let's just be thoughtful.
Yeah, have some consideration for other people.
And like going on runs with shirts off and stuff, like we've got to, I don't know.
Does it make that much of a difference, like to have your shirt off for a run versus keeping it on? Like, is it that much cooler?
It is cooler, but I also think it's just like freer. I think there's something about
we do have experience with this.
It does. I mean, I don't know. I've never been a female, so I don't know what it's like to be. And maybe some girls feel this. I mean, there's all kinds of movements,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like women are not wearing bras at times, and I don't know why. I don't know why a female does what she does, but I think with dudes, there's something about, hey, you just get home and you just start stripping down, like in college.
My boys do.
Yeah.
They're always naked.
Yeah, I mean, you just see that. It's just like you get home, you take your shirt. I mean, I get home, I take my shirt off, and then like the girls will have friends come over or something. I'm like, go to my room, put my shirt back on. It's always like, so I have more dirty shirts than necessary because I'm just swapping them out.
So like, really, you're saying it's a call to be thoughtful.
Yeah.
Like before you,
I would not, to be thoughtful first, but I also think to limit your freedom, to limit your liberty in the name of love. I think is a pithy way to say that. Limit your liberty in the name of love. Can you? Yes. Should you? Probably not. Paul says in 1 Corinthians 6, all things are beneficial to me. I'm sorry, all things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. Sorry, somebody's calling me. Oh, it's the Apostle Paul. Look at that. Just kidding. Just joking.
Wow.
All things are permissible, but not all things are beneficial. And so I think there's an aspect of like, hey, because of Christ, we have a lot of freedom, but we limit our liberty in the name of love.
Yeah.
Well,
in the name
literally,
of loving others.
the whole call of being a Christ follower is to follow his example. What did he do? He laid down his life for us.
Totally.
So, yes, maybe I like the way I look in a crop top. And if that would in any way cause someone to sin, that's the littlest way that I could lay my life down for someone else.
If it would cause one person to sin,
it's tricky, and you can become,
Totally.
Because
guys
can
can
be like,
sin
man, I got to
with
wear
you
this
wearing
stuff all the
anything,
time.
That's
And I
true.
think that outrage, like right now, the way Satan is working in our culture is he gets a group and he turns the group into a mob and he fills that mob with outrage, and then they point that outrage towards something. And so, like right now, purity culture.
Mm-hmm.
Like there are people that are going to hear this, probably didn't make it this far into the podcast, and they're going to try to clip it and come after us for whatever reasons because they're like, oh, that's so toxic and this, that. No, listen, here's what you need to know about us. We believe God's word is absolutely true.
Mm-hmm.
And what he says through Peter is he says your beauty should not come from what you wear on the outside.
Right.
It should come from what's on the inside. And I remember, oh my goodness, I remember that reading this article. I've never been able to find it, but it was about these Hasidic Jews, and they would get married and would talk about how their honeymoon was not just the first time that they've had sex, that he was the first male who had ever seen her hair, like on her head, like all of her had been covered her whole life. So when she's getting undressed to make love for the very first time, like no one has ever seen any aspect of her skin, and just like how hot and how erotic what they experienced. I remember reading this. I was like, whoa, that's wild. That's crazy. And then when Monica and I went through premarital counseling, he was like, listen, you guys, like, it's fair game. Like y'all can walk around the house naked if you want all the time, but I wouldn't. He's like, I would be restrained in how you think about that, even in the way you display it toward one another, that there's a time and place to do that. And I remember thinking that, and I was like, that's crazy. But now I've been married for 20 years, and I'm like, I see wisdom in that, if I'm honest. Like not to just, to give discretion and to be thoughtful of how we're even displayed toward one another and when. And I know that's going to sound crazy to some people, but I think there is like a time and a place for those things, and that's an aspect of some of the wisdom of what the Scripture's teaching, and that we shouldn't do anything that is harmful to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think we need to be paralyzed by that. There's we're under the Spirit of grace, but I do think we do need to be thoughtful.
Yeah, I think if you think about it with porn as well, like porn is going to hurt you in so many ways. But when you've trained yourself to like, man, I can see it basically anyone naked whenever I want.
Yeah.
Then you take that into marriage, and it's just I don't know. You sex gets a lot harder when you're addicted to porn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm even just like practically speaking, just to like the girls out there, guys out there who do like the way they look, they're insecure, they want to get attention. And I remember feeling that way. And I also remember the idea, the thought, I don't know if the Lord put it in my head or someone wiser than me said it to me, but it's like, I don't want to be known for the way that I look. That's not what I want people to walk away from an encounter with me thinking. I don't want them to think anything about my appearance. I want them to think about my character, my heart, the way that I love the Lord. And so if the way that you're dressing is causing people to think about how you look versus how much you love God, like that is not worth it.
Okay,
what about like right before we recorded, you're like, I got my hair cut, and on Sunday only one person said it looked good, and I was like, Matt, what's the deal?
Yes. And I was half joking, but that's true. It's a weird like wrestle, I guess. Is like, you cut your hair, you want people to like, oh, that's cute, or like.
And I'm not saying that that's even necessarily bad. It's like I don't want to show up looking like a slob. I would prefer for people to think, oh, he
says this 1 Timothy 2:9. I also want the women to dress modestly, with decency and propriety, adorning themselves not with elaborate hairstyles or gold or pearls or expensive clothes, but with good deeds appropriate for women who profess to worship God. And it's like, man, I feel like we've taken those scriptures and just thrown them out and like, oh, there's something cultural that's irrelevant, and here's what that means. And I mean, I do think like God is calling us to not be worldly. And like, I do think the three of us, and especially me, like me first, have sinned in this area in, wanting to attract others with what's on the outside. And giving too much preference and thought to that, as opposed to, hey, how do I, it's a shortcut. It's a shortcut to attract others with what's on the outside. That's the reality. It's a lot harder and more challenging, and requires more surrender to attract people with what's on the inside.
What about you? Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, it reminds me of 1 Samuel 16, I don't know where it is. Sorry, it's in 1 Samuel. But the Lord doesn't look at the things that people look at. Man looks at outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart.
He says in First Corinthians 12:23, and the parts that we think are less honorable we treat with special honor, and the parts that are unpresentable are treated with special modesty, which is fascinating. Talking about the body of Christ, but also the human body, which is a metaphor that goes back and forth. And then 1 Peter 3, your beauty should not come from outward adornment such as elaborate hairstyles and the wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes. Rather, it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle and quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. And so even if you think, man, 1 Timothy 2, that whole chapter needs to be thrown out, then you still have 1 Peter 3. And those are written by two different people, two different followers of Jesus that are saying essentially the same thing as they're speaking into what should happen within the church.
What about like thinking through what we post on Instagram?
Yeah.
Totally.
Like social media.
Yeah, I think we need to be thoughtful in that. And I want to say this real quick because I think sometimes we feed a judgmental spirit in Christians where they're like, oh, what is she wearing? Why would she wear that to church? Like sometimes people dress like prostitutes at church because they're prostitutes and they were invited and they need the gospel. And so we need to love them and invite them to lunch with our family and care for them afterwards, right? And just be thoughtful. It's like you don't want to be this holy huddle that no one from the outside is invited into. And so sometimes I think we can stir up so much judgment in our hearts that we don't know how to love lost people.
Totally. And even if it is someone that you know is a believer and they're wearing things that you don't think they should, assume the best. And again, like we talked about last week's episode, ask questions, get to know why they do what they do. I know so many women, it's everyone else is wearing it. They don't know better. And maybe you could come alongside them and help them in that area. But we've also talked, we haven't even mentioned this on the podcast, but your motive matters in this. And so,
Modesty,
of course,
motive
with
matters
modesty, like, again, back to like things you post on Instagram. There's definitely times where I'm about to post a picture of me with my kids even, and I'm like, am I really just posting this because I think I look good in this? Yes, then I don't post it. So not to overanalyze, but
we got to do a podcast on Botox and lip injections and all of that. Like,
yeah, if y'all could do it soon before I.
You thinking about it?
No.
Oh, Nate, are you thinking about it?
No.
Are you lying?
No,
he would never spend money on that.
Is it too late? It's too late, isn't it?
I'm too far gone.
All right. In modesty, motive matters most. There's your alliteration. In modesty, motive matters most. Don't forget that. All right, guys. Hope that's helpful, and we'll talk to you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in to Becoming Something, where we promise to keep the conversation honest and real for young adults in their 20s and 30s. Every moment we live is training for a future moment, and that's why we do this podcast, because we want you to be prepared for everything that life is going to throw at you. Our hope with this podcast is that it would help you become all that God desires you to be. To find out more, visit becomingsomething.com.